Hi, I'm Sarah Hart, and I'm joined by Julie again. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Sarah.
It's you again.
Yes, I'm back here for another session.
Okay, we're going to talk about moving off today. Now, we've already talked about moving off as a complete beginner, but we're going to talk about moving off during a driving test.
And in fact, it is test critical.
It absolutely is, and surprisingly enough, in the top 10 reasons for students failing their driving test, you'd be probably surprised to know that moving off is at number 5 on that list, moving off safely with control.
And it's right to say it's tested in a number of different ways, isn't it, during the test?
Yes, during the test, the learner will be asked to pull up safely 3 or 4 times. And there's a number of different scenarios that might take place in, and we'll come to that
So
in a minute.
what would those be?
So you might be asked to move off around a parked car. So you've pulled up behind a parked car and move off. Or you might have just done a parallel park, and then of course you'd have to move off again. It might just be a basic pull up on the left and move off. It might be a hill start. It could be after an emergency stop, or it could be after you've done the manoeuvre of pulling up on the right and then moving off from there. So there's sort of 5 different scenarios that might happen. But the biggest problem is that people fail their test because they do not observe properly.
So they don't follow the process.
They might follow the process, but they don't actually really look. So they might sort of pay lip service to, there we are, I've just checked my blind spot, but maybe they're not really looking because they're pulling out in front of cars. So those are the real issues.
Okay, so in our podcast on moving off for beginners, what was the basic discipline that we should observe?
So the basic discipline in terms of observing was when you're getting ready to move away, if you're parked on the left, you need to start your observations on the left side of the car. So that's over your left shoulder, and then come through to your left door mirror. So you're checking out anything that might be on your left wing. And then you're going to look down the road ahead and the rear view mirror. So you've got those eyes ahead on the road. And then it's right door mirror and then right blind spot check. So those are your basic observations before moving away.
So there's 6 core checks?
Yeah, 6 basic checks, yeah.
So that's what parents who are taking a learner out should be looking for when they're moving off each time, those 6 core points.
And funnily enough, a lot of full licence holders, if they were to take their driving test today, a lot of them would fail because they'd move off and they perhaps wouldn't check that blind spot because they've got out of the habit. And funnily enough, when we train driving instructors and we're training them for their Part 2 exams, which is an advanced driving test, getting them to pull up on the left and moving off safely can cause all sorts of problems. Yet, of course, you think it's the most basic of things. It's the thing you do in lesson number 1, isn't it?
Okay.
But it does cause problems.
So 6 core points. Can we just go through what they were again?
So the first one, they might have to move off at an angle. So they'll have been asked to pull up behind a parked car, about a car's length from the parked car, and then they have to move off safely, and that of course includes control. And very often the mistakes they're making is that they're pulling out and swinging out into oncoming traffic. So, because their vision is slightly obscured by the car they're pulling out round, they've got to make sure they really look. So they can't just pull out and hope it's clear. They've got to really look. Okay, so that's one of them.
That's one of the problems. And what else are the problems then?
So again, when they're moving away, blind spot checks are sometimes missed. So that's over their right shoulder particularly because that's the area into which they're moving. If they've done the manoeuvre, pull up on the right, reverse back 2 car lengths and then move away again, they're pulling out into traffic that's coming up from the rear. So again, those observations aren't being done properly.
Okay.
Another one might be after an emergency stop. And again, you need to have 360 observations after the emergency stop. So starting over your left shoulder, left door mirror, rear view mirror, road ahead, right door mirror, right blind spot check. So that's an all-round 360s.
The rear is, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, that's in the rear view mirror, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one is, of course, they might be asked to stop on a hill, on an uphill slope. So again, the control, moving away on that uphill slope, making sure the clutch is to bite before they release the handbrake.
So those are all the sort of typical reasons why moving off safely has hit the top 5 reasons for test failure. So what is the core issues for supervising a learner? What can the parent do?
Well, the parent has got to make sure that learner really does those observations before moving away. And where it's hard to see if you're pulling out around a parked car, maybe they're going to look through the glass of the parked car. If they're trying to move out around a van, and it's unlikely that the examiner would get them to pull up behind a van, but if it's a vehicle with no glass in it, you're going to have to peep and creep out. You can't just hope it's clear and go. So really, really looking, stretching those eyes out and really having a really good, honest look.
Okay, so just to summarise then, the moving off observations, moving off from the left. Can we just check me if I do this right?
Yeah.
So I'm parked on the left, I'm looking over my shoulder down the pavement to see if there's anything coming from the left hand side. I'm then looking in the left hand door mirror to see if anything is coming from the left hand side. So that's the first two checks. I'm then looking in the rear view mirror to see if there's anything behind which would cause us a problem.
Yep.
I'm looking ahead to make sure I'm aware of what's ahead of me. So, and then we're looking in the right door mirror to see what is coming up behind us.
Yep.
And then the all important over the shoulder down the road, looking at that blind spot.
That's right, over your right shoulder.
So I think that's six checks, isn't it?
Yes, I mean the thing is as well, when you're starting your checks on the left side of the vehicle, you don't want to be too long-winded about that, because if you take forever doing it, then by the time you get to look over your right shoulder, it all could have changed on the left. So it's a quick but a good look. Make sure you have a good look, but don't labour the point too much.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I find with people I've spoken to, learners, is they appear to be looking, but they don't see.
Yes.
So actually they take action based on, no information, and it's not processed in their head, really.
Yes, I think as well, some learners on tests might think, well, I've got to show that I'm looking, like you say, Julie, rather than actually looking.
Yeah, so it's actually comprehending that you've got to make a decision based on this look.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's something.
And can I just say that another thing that probably has kept me alive as a driving instructor in the 20 years I've been doing it is, before your learner moves off, I would really recommend that you just have a quick look over your right shoulder out of the back window to make sure that it's clear.
Okay, so this is a key supervision tip.
It is. It's a key safety issue. Make sure you've looked as well. But the thing is, don't look before the learner, because that way you're going to prompt them. So you're triggering them thinking, oh, I've got to remember to look. So don't do it before they look. Make sure they've done their observations, and then you just take a final look.
Yeah, and if they haven't done their observations, it's okay to prompt them.
Yes, or don't let them move off. Give them every chance to do it. But if they're starting to move off without looking, just say, stop. What have you forgotten to do? So
Brilliant.
They become independent.
So that's great. Thanks. Anything else?
Well, we actually got some exciting news. We are, within sort of the next month, going to be launching our Skill Zone, which is resources for parents. So, if you're finding these podcasts useful, the Skill Zone courses will have loads more stuff on there, which will help you become an even more fantastic supervising driver. So we've used Buzzsprout today to help us create this podcast, and if you want to do the same thing, you can get some free Amazon vouchers. As always, please visit my website, www.sarahhartdrivingschool.com. There's lots of links on there to very interesting. Well, we think they're interesting because we're into driving instruction.
Yeah, we've got lots of social media links for parents which offer free support and resources. So if you're struggling at all, have a look at the website, go to the links. We've got a Facebook group where we exchange information with parents, which is on Facebook.
Yeah, so please get involved with that. As always, I'm on the end of a phone. We'd love to talk to you and get your feedback. 0791 9488 360, or my email, sarah@sarahhartdrivingschool.com. I think that sums that one up.